This is CJ Ortiz of metalmotivation.com and cjortiz.com. I want to talk to you today a little bit about branding. I've been in marketing and design and advertising and branding for most of my adult life, some 25 years. I've been self-employed in it for about 22 years, and I've helped a lot of clients and a lot of people find the position that they were looking for their business, for their organization, for their personal life. And, over the last 10 years or so, the word branding has become much, much more common parlance. You see it a lot online. If you're involved as a small business owner or entrepreneur, you've probably come across the idea of branding. Other words are positioning or platform. And for a lot of people, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what branding is. Now, the idea of branding has been around for centuries. Certain religions are branded. Certain, famous people in history are branded. So, branding has been around as a principle. But in the modern era, just going back into the 60s, branding became more of an issue for, when you started to have the multiplicity of corporations that grew up after the Second World War. But branding is misconstrued nowadays because the usage is being put out there by a lot of people who claim to be experts in branding, but really are not. They've never been to any sort of school about these very things. They're just sort of mimicking or parroting what other people have said. So people misconstrue branding as if it's like, when your stationery matches your website, or when you wear a particular color all the time, that somehow that is your brand. Those are not brands, okay? Branding is not actually seen. Yes, like the company Apple has that little apple that is a logo. Yeah, it is a manifestation of a brand, but that's not what makes or breaks the Apple organization. It's what happens in the mind of the marketplace regarding Apple. That is where their money is made. How is Apple perceived in the marketplace? Branding is actually something that happens in our heads. It is an indelible, unerasable mark that gets left in our minds about a person, about a company, about a country, about an idea, about a philosophy. This is what branding is. Branding is not when your stationery matches your website. Those are good things to have, but that's not branding. In essence, branding is when ideas take on form. Okay? That's also what art is, when ideas take on form. So, for example, when I went to create my side project, Metal Motivation, at the time, it was launched in Halloween of 2009. At that time, there was a lot of motivational speakers out there, and now it's multiplied. Probably thousands of them setting up their own websites, setting up their own social media pages, and out there building their clientele, life coaches and motivational speakers. So you would think a market like that is going to be flooded. Well, not necessarily. I created the Metal Motivator, Metal Motivation Daily Screams for Living Aggressively, as an alternative or differentiated brand. Therefore, I created distinction in a busy, crowded marketplace by simply creating for myself a unique position. Okay? But it had more to do with the length than the length of my hair or the color of the clothes I wear. Everything worked in tandem in order to reinforce and push this idea into the marketplace. So branding is imperative. You do have to have things like good copywriting. You do have to be able to have great graphics. You do have to know what you're talking about. All of those things are important, but they are manifestations. They are things that work in tandem with the big central idea that drives your project. That's what we refer to as a brand. It is that indelible mark that you leave on the marketplace. Now, for me, it's primarily through the idea that I created with metalmotivation.com that pushes itself into the marketplace. So prior to social media, for example, people would search for things like on Google. All information was searched for. After social media, things are more shared. So it's important in an environment where people share things that you have a strong differentiated idea that can be pushed or shared into the marketplace. So metal motivation, for example, prior to Facebook, would have been very difficult to market on the internet. Why? Because not many people are going in and searching, I wonder if there's a heavy metal version of personal development. I wonder if there's a heavy metal motivational speaker. No, they would have just put in motivational speaking or, life coach. And that would have brought up all of those thousands of other competitors. Okay, so nobody was looking for this. So because metal motivation is idea driven, it needed something like social media in order for people to say, wow, I discovered this cool page. You guys have got to check this out. It's a heavy metal motivator. See what I mean? So the idea was pushed out. So growth came by a strong differentiating idea being pushed out into a marketplace. So my challenge to you is that. What is it that's unique about your brand? What is it that you have? What is it about you? And it may be something you're not even looking at. It may be an interest that you have. It may be an element that's buried a few pages deep in your brochure. But I'm going to challenge you to go back over what it is that you're doing. I'm going to challenge you to really rethink whether it's a band or a restaurant, a small business, maybe you're an online marketer or life coach or author or whatever it is. Start to think through what really makes you unique, what really separates you from everybody else. And it's not just taking that and then putting it forward, it's packaging it. That's where the other elements come into play. I had to do more than just call myself the metal motivator. If you look at everything that I do, all the artwork, all the presentation, all the language, everything works to make that idea strong and larger than life. And that's what pushes it out into the marketplace. Can you dig that? I hope you can. Check out my websites today, cjortiz.com and metalmotivation.com. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please contact me at metalmotivation@gmail.com. Thanks.